The reporter made 54 out of 100 shots, but Larry Bird, with his shooting hand taped into a fist, made 86 out of 100 shots, left-handed. The reporter owed Larry $160 that he paid in cash the next day before the Sixers game. And like a cruel older brother, Larry took the money and played the entire game with those 8 $20 bills stashed in his sock. Savage.
Let's get it. We back. And before we get started with this video, I really appreciate y'all. We got that last video up to 11,000 views. I haven't had a video do that good in a long time. So either y'all really enjoyed that video or y'all really enjoyed the video and my reaction to it overall in general. That video was good. It was very, very, very interesting. I do want to thank y'all for liking the video, for commenting, and to all the new people to the channel, subscribing. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of my other future videos. And be sure to check out the Larry Bird playlist that is on my channel. That way you can get caught up on all the videos we've already done so far. There's great videos too, y'all. Just great videos. But let's try to get this video up to 15,000. Can we do 15,000? Can we do 1,000 likes? So let's try to get 1,000 likes and 15,000 views. That's what I'm aiming for. If we can't do it, it is what it is. You feel me? I take what I can get, but let's just try to do that. But let's get started with this video. I don't want to talk y'all heads off. Y'all know me. I do get a little long-winded. That's why I call out of breath.
When you're so much better than the competition, you have to find little ways to motivate yourself. So when Larry Bird was having his best season ever, he just got kind of bored one night, and he took an uneventful regular season road game and turned it into one of the most iconic games in NBA history.
Larry was well known for predicting what he was going to do on the road trips. They asked Larry, well, so Larry, you come to the end of the road trip, well, what do you got in store? You've achieved all your milestones. He said, I'm going to play this game left-handed. And they said, yeah, right. So no, I'm going to play left-handed. If the game's in doubt in the fourth quarter, I'll switch back to right-handed. But he played the entire game left-handed, and he had a triple-double.
Video footage look like it's brand new.
That was a great shot. I mean, made it look
I didn't know they had cameras that clear like that back in the 80s.
And made it look simple. Down at the corner.
All lefty.
Larry Bird with that left hand again, and that's what makes him so tough. The fact that he has the ability to use both hands in close to the basket. Something all young basketball players strive to do. Perfect both hands in close.
On Valentine's Day in 1986, without his second best player, Kevin McHale, Larry Bird disrespected an entire team by playing the game left-handed. And at the end of 3 quarters, Larry Bird had 27 points, nearly all of them left-handed. He was literally toying with the entire league.
I know we just got into the video, but I gotta touch on something. First and foremost, the camera footage back in the 80s, I didn't even know was that clear. Either they redid that video over again, or the technology back in the day was actually pretty decent. I don't know why, but it's either one of the two, basically. I don't know. But anywho, you mean to tell me that the conversation that I keep having with people is that Larry Bird, is that not even just Larry Bird, this generation of hoopers back in the day would wash the 80s players, okay? But when I watch these games and I hear these stories, I just be thinking to myself, how good do you gotta be to just play a full basketball game left-handed? Just left-handed. Like, I'm only gonna use my left hand. I'm gonna use my non-dominant hand. Like, just forget it. Like, I don't want. Hey, this is my dominant hand. I'm kind of iffy with this one. We just gonna tie this hand up behind my back, and we just gonna. You know, like, think about that. That's what people do when they know that they're that good. And he scored 27 points in 3 quarters. In 3 quarters. So we don't know what he scored in the fourth quarter and what he finished off with. But he practically just did whatever he wanted to do and made a fool of them. But back to the point where I was going with this, because I'm getting off topic, is that I think some of the people that I be going back and forth with, they really don't understand and grasp the concept of how just good these people were back in the 80s. And they just played fundamental basketball. You didn't have to take 15 and 20 dribbles to get to the basket and do a layup. They just knew how to get to their spots and knock down shots. And they're way more physical at it as well. So, drop in the comments if y'all think that this generation in 2024, this generation of basketball players, drop in the comments if y'all think this generation of basketball players will beat the 80s basketball players. I'm curious. Me personally, I don't think that they would be able to just beat them that easily. Even some teams probably wouldn't even lose. Like literally. Yeah. We got the Steph Currys out here that do the shoot from half court stuff, but they not letting that happen. I'm just saying, drop something in the comments. Let's like that video. I could talk about this.
I had a good left hand around the basket, and they always, if you watch, if I remember the game correctly, they were forcing me left to help, and they wasn't getting there quick enough. So I had shots around 5-6 foot with my left hand. I felt more comfortable with my left hand there than I did my right. Then once I got started making a few, I just kept going.
Larry Bird from Johnson, excellent pass, and another 2 points with the left hand to Larry Bird if you're counting. He's got 31. Still 4:10 remaining here in the third quarter.
But here's how this legendary game was even more impressive than the legend itself. Because in the fourth quarter, it was a very close game, and over the span of 5 possessions, Bird made 3 consecutive insane left-handed shots. Most NBA players would never even dream of trying a left-handed floater in transition, but Bird casually faked one defender, avoided another, and lobbed a shot off the glass to put the Celtics up by 6.
Larry Bird, and the left hand again. 35 for Larry. And he has a triple-double. He's got 11 rebounds and 10 assists.
In
and
crunch
after
time.
Blazers 3 cut the lead in half, Larry was still using his left hand and buried a hook shot that no other player has ever mastered other than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he did it left-handed.
For Bird. Another left-hander by Larry Bird.
Larry's mixture of skill, creativity, and flat-out arrogance to pull off a sweeping left-handed hook shot during a close game in the fourth quarter has to be top 5 most savage moments of Larry Bird's career.
But what was crazy was fourth quarter close game, and all of a sudden he breaks out the most insanely batshit nuts left-handed shots in the world. Throwing left-handed floaters off the glass in transition from like 12 feet. And then the very next play just throws in a sweeping lefty hook from like 10 feet. And then 2 possessions later has a sweeping lefty and 1 hook. And it's like, okay. Like you never see any offhand shots like that.
And
he
one.
did 3 in a row while they were holding off a charge. So Larry was a cold-blooded man. And you didn't need me to tell you that.
And with under a minute to go, the game was tied up, and Larry Bird decided that he should go back to his right hand and put the Portland Trail Blazers out of their misery. But as Larry went for the kill, a bizarre no-call puts the Celtics in deep trouble.
Bird in a great move. No foul, no goaltending. 3-on-2 for Portland. Drexler, Vandaway. Timeout, Boston. They can't believe it. Going over to the official saying he hung on the rim, and he's right. It should have been goaltending, Bill.
Let's take a look at it. Let's see if Bird gets hit.
There's the hanging on the rim on the shot by Bowie. That was goaltending with the ball up there.
Right.
Now with a 2-point lead in 41 seconds.
And down by 2, Larry Bird puts the team on his back.
Drexler. Percy had it, but Bird comes down with the big rebound. Larry Bird. We're tied with 6 seconds left. Timeout. Portland. Bird with 43 points.
This game-tying shot sent the game into overtime, and in overtime, with the Celtics down by 1 with 17 seconds on the clock, and Larry Bird's historical performance on the line, Larry Bird does exactly what he's been known to do over and over and over again in the clutch.
Game clock, top of your screen. Larry Bird with 3 seconds left, timeout for Portland. 47 points for Larry Bird. The Boston Celtics as they usually do, have prevailed here in overtime from Portland. Our player of the game, our Light Beer and Turner Broadcasting most valuable player, is Larry Bird with 47 points on 62% shooting, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. He had 1 steal and 1 block. Another triple-double for Larry Bird, his second consecutive one.
Some night it goes in, some night it don't. That night it happened to work out. But if I remember correctly, we won that game in overtime by like 1 point. So, you know, I probably shot with my right hand the whole game.
After that game,
shout out to Larry Bird, man. Really shout out to Larry Bird. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe with your notification bell on. If you already been here, because you already know how our channel be, you know how the Larry Bird family is. Drop some in the comments. Drop a 4-leaf clover. Drop a green heart. Drop a check mark. Drop some in the comments for Larry Bird for being just a creative, great basketball player, and a truly humble guy, such as that. But let's finish this video off.
a reporter named Dan Shaughnessy wrote an article in the Boston Globe titled, "Just Call Him Lefty Bird," where Larry Bird said, "I'm saving my right hand for the Lakers." But why was Larry Bird so dead set on embarrassing the rest of the league and proving that he was way better than everyone else? Because 1 year earlier, the Celtics were set to repeat as NBA champions, but Larry Bird made one disastrous mistake that ended up costing the Celtics a championship. Because that year, a Celtics-Lakers rematch in the NBA Finals seemed inevitable.
Last year they had down here, and we had an up year, and we're playing great, and they're playing great. So I look for us to be in the finals to see who plays the LA Lakers.
The way it's going right now, you're going to be MVP twice in a row, maybe the world champions twice in a row. Larry Bird, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greats of all time.
Well, no question. You know, we were the favorites, and we made our way. They won the East, we won the West. So it's like everybody just get ready, sit back, and let's enjoy it.
You know, this is it, first week of June. And it always happens to be Boston Celtics and LA Laker time.
However, as the Celtics celebrated a victory in the Eastern Conference Finals at a local bar in Boston, Larry Bird got into an argument with the bouncer. This argument escalated into a shouting match that spilled out into the streets and caused Larry Bird to punch the bouncer in the face. An eyewitness said, "I don't know what happened inside, but there was a noise and a scuffle as they came across the street. Then Larry Bird went boom, a nice sweep over the top with his right hand to the left side of his face. This altercation ended in a lawsuit, and Larry Bird agreed to a settlement. And unfortunately for the Boston faithful, Larry Bird broke his shooting hand during this incident, and it was noticeably swollen for the rest of the playoffs.
Bird made a great play. He knew he was going to get clobbered. He's got a swollen finger that he got. Look at that.
It looks swollen.
On his right hand. You wouldn't believe a guy with a finger like that can shoot that well from the outside. He can hardly bend it.
And when the Celtics team doctor examined him, the doctor said Larry Bird had been in some kind of altercation. I examined Larry's hand, and it was swollen to double the size of his regular hand. And the condition of Larry's finger is such that he cannot make a fist on his own. And when Larry Bird came out the next day for practice with his hand heavily taped, that same reporter, Dan Shaughnessy, doubtfully asked if Larry Bird would be able to shoot with his hand wrapped like that. Bird told that reporter that he could tape up his entire shooting hand and still outshoot the reporter with his left hand. So Larry Bird had the trainer tape his entire right hand into a fist and challenged the reporter to a shooting competition. 100 free throws at $5 per shot, and Bird could only use his left hand. The reporter made 54 out of 100 shots, but Larry Bird, with his shooting hand taped into a fist, made 86 out of 100 shots, left-handed. The reporter owed Larry $160 that he paid in cash the next day before the Sixers game. And like a cruel older brother, Larry took the money and played the entire game with those 8 $20 bills stashed in his sock. Savage.
The man never played a whole basketball game with $100 and something stashed in his socks. I mean, come on now, Larry. No, what do y'all think about Larry Bird getting into that fist fight outside of the bar and punching whatever he did to the bouncer? I mean, yeah, I can tell that Larry would fight you just by watching the way he played basketball. He was no chump. He was no chump. He was no punk. He was none of that. He stood on business, and you could tell that he had that type of confidence within himself, just the way he trash talked to his to his not to his teammates, but his peers in the NBA whenever they had to contest shots and guarding. The way he checked you, you could tell that that's who he was. That's who Larry Bird is, man. Larry Bird is crazy, man. I ain't even gonna lie. Terry Hoop, Indiana. One and only, man.
Larry Bird was literally in a class of his own when it came to shooting the basketball, because he was the first player in NBA history to average 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line, and 90% from the free throw line, becoming the very first member of the 50-40-90 club. In fact, until Kevin Durant did it in 2023, Larry Bird for 35 years was the only player ever to have multiple 50-40-90 seasons while averaging at least 20 points per game. Larry Bird was truly ahead of his time and in a class all by himself.
Now, on that note, Steph Curry is technically or classified the best point guard ever. Okay? They literally are putting Stephen Curry in the GOAT conversation. Like, skip Dr. J, anybody that you could think of, you know. This is to these people. To us, we already know Larry Bird is the GOAT. But to these people nowadays, Steph Curry is in the GOAT, the greatest basketball player of all time conversation. What do y'all think about that? I'm getting somewhere with this. I know. How does Steph Curry even come about? Steph Curry is not even in the 50-40-90 club. So the greatest player of all time is not even in the 50-40-90 club. What makes basketball different from the rest of the sport? I mean, other sports. You know, rhetorical questions. Y'all can answer these questions in the comments if y'all want to. I'm going somewhere with this, though. Putting the ball in the basket. There's two ways to do that. There's either laying up / dunking, or there is shooting. Okay? So, Larry Bird, to this generation, is not one of the greatest players of all time. But in the record book, 50, 40, 90, he's practically one of the best shooters of all time. Stephen Curry is going on the record to these other people out here that love basketball so much, right? All of these analysts, these people that got podcasts and all of this stuff, you know. I don't get me started with that neither. They just gatekeeping the money, you know. Let some poor people come up, you know what I mean? Make some money. Anyways, they're putting Steph Curry in there because he's supposed to be the best shooter of all time because he shoots these circus act threes from half court, which in my book are bad shots. He just makes them, so it's a good shot, I guess. But Larry Bird's not in the GOAT conversation. 50, 40, 90. I'm just trying to figure out how do they come up with this stuff. I'm just trying to figure out how they come up with this stuff. Yes, Steph Curry has 4 rings. Robert Ory has 7. Tim Duncan has 5. Ginobili and Tony Parker also have rings as well. So I'm going to ask y'all in the comments before we finish this video off. What makes a player be considered the greatest of all time? Is it their jumping ability? Is it their shooting ability? Is it their rebounding? Is it their IQ? Is it how many rings they have? Is it how much money they accumulated over their whole career in the NBA? What makes a person a GOAT? Because I'm going to just try to give y'all some, just help y'all out here. When you hear these stories, you don't hear too many crazy stories like you hear the Larry Bird stories, the Kobe stories, and the Steph Curry stories. I don't hear no crazy LeBron stories, and I'm only name dropping. I'm not hating. I don't hear no crazy LeBron stories. I don't hear no crazy Magic Johnson stories. I don't hear no crazy. Oh, Michael Jordan has. People talk about Michael Jordan all the time. His stories is crazy too. And the list goes on. So I want y'all to drop in the comments. I'm done talking here. I know I should be out of breath at this point, but nah, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all drop some in the comments what y'all feel like should make a person the greatest basketball player of all time. Because when you hear these Larry Bird stories, they kind of top everybody else's stories, in my opinion. But it's your boy DtaeNoDinero. I ain't got no money, but my opinion don't matter, I guess.
Larry Bird winning the long-distance shootout for the 3rd year in a row.
Unfortunately, after that bar fight, Larry was forced to play the rest of those 1985 playoffs with a broken shooting hand.
Only he knows the effect of his injured elbow and finger and ankle and what have you. He never uses it as an excuse, but so far he has not shot well from the field and has not been a factor.
I think Dr. J may be playing him, forcing him to go to his right hand a little bit more than Larry was in the prior games. He's playing on his hand and jabs at it, and he wanted a foul. He didn't get it, Larry Bird. Too bad.
And when asked about it, Larry said, "It hurts, but I can't use it as an excuse. It's just another thing you have to accept." In fact, Larry tried to downplay his injuries so much that the story of the bar fight that broke his shooting hand didn't even come out until the following season. And when the story broke, Larry Bird was not happy about it at all.
And, you know, Larry, when I wrote about Larry's barroom fight at Chelsea's, which was hurt the 85 playoff push, you know, Larry didn't talk to me for 4 or 5 months after that. I knew that was going to happen. I understood that, but it was too bad, you know, and he eventually, I think, got over it. He knew he made a mistake there. We all make mistakes. It's okay. But there was no way you could cover it up or pretend it didn't happen, because it affected the fans. It affected how he shot, possibly, and whether they won the championship or not in 85. So that was the story. But, you know, if a guy's just having 1,000 beers or something, it's not affecting his play, you don't need to write that or get into his business. When it gets into the fans' business, then we do.
Although the Celtics took care of business and beat the 76ers in 5 games, Larry Bird struggled immensely shooting the ball those last 2 games.
Bird, top of the key. Bird is 3 for 11. This is his worst shooting game of the series.
Because he went from averaging 28.7 points per game to 15.5 points per game, and from 52% shooting from the field to 30% shooting from the field. So was this a coincidence? I think not. Because in the finals versus the Lakers, Larry continued to struggle.
Larry Bird with his first shot. Bird came back. He's been hampered by a variety of injuries. Bird with a runner. 10-2 run right now for LA. And Larry Bird misses. Stop. Pulls up against Ainge. And it's now 12-2. Casey Jones is going to call a 22nd timeout. The crowd is indeed out of the ball game at this point.
While Larry might not use it as an excuse, I will. His shooting numbers were down significantly, which is the only reason that the Lakers won the 1985 title in 6 games, preventing the Celtics from going back-to-back.
Bird. 70-53. Bird. Missing.
They're all trying for 3-point shots. Bird misses.
That's got to be the ultimate thrill for the Lakers.
Kareem hits again with a skyhook.
That was a hook shot. Practically the 3.
The Lakers are less than a minute away.
Unusual sight. Celtics losing a championship at home. Never happened before.
Larry Bird's going out of the ball game. Only he knows how much he's been hurt and how it's affected him.
And you know the first thing will be out of his mouth in the locker room to the press? I played terrible. No alibi.
Never use the injuries as an excuse. The Lakers are winning it. 3 in 6 years. LA comes to Boston and wins the world title.
I was the only guy that wrote about Larry getting into that barroom fight in the 85 finals when you guys lost. And I really felt that was newsworthy because he didn't shoot well after that. And the Celtics didn't win the playoffs that year. And they had a really good team. As you know, their team was stacked.
Coach, how badly injured is Larry Bird? Is there an excuse there?
Oh, that's no excuse, no. If he's out there in uniform and he's playing, then that's it comes with the territory.
I guess Larry should have shot the ball with his left hand like he did against that reporter. Which brings me to that very next season, because if you actually believe that the Lakers would have still won the title in 1985 if Larry Bird were healthy, then look no further than 1986, when the Celtics brought back the exact same starting five. Because after Larry's hand was healed, he and the Boston Celtics wanted their revenge and dedicated the entire season to dethroning the Lakers. In that year, the 1986 Celtics steamrolled the entire league and finished with the regular season home record of 40-1, which still stands as the greatest regular season home record of all time. And including the playoffs, Larry Bird led that Boston Celtics team to a home record of 50-1, dethroning the Lakers as NBA champions, just like Larry Bird envisioned.
The way it's going right now, you're going to be MVP twice in a row, maybe the world champions twice in a row. Larry Bird, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greats of all time.
Man, so many things I want to talk about. Maybe I should start a podcast. Drop some in the comments what y'all think about that. But that was a great video. A lot of the stuff that they talked about, we heard before. But just to be, refreshing on it again, just makes me really just think how great Larry Bird really was, man. He didn't win that year. Messed his hand up. But he really had the Bird mentality. I know it's called the Mamba mentality, but he had the Bird mentality. He played that whole season with a messed up, the rest of that season with a messed up hand. Never complained about it. Never let the injury become an excuse. And he did. He put his team on his back and took them to the finals. Ruined his shooting percentage. Didn't average more than 20 points after that fight. And still got all the way to the finals to lose to the Lakers. Never complained about it at all. That's what I like to call the Bird mentality. You hear about Kobe Bean Bryant messing his finger up and wrapping his finger up and getting out there and still playing. That was the Mamba mentality. That's what Larry Bird did for the whole season. Because his injury could have really, kept him from playing for the rest of the season. But he never told nobody because he really loved playing basketball that much. Drop some in the comments what y'all think. I don't want to be talking too much on this video. I've already talked enough. Before I do let y'all go, it is my birthday. I just turned 31. I don't look it. Maybe I do. I don't know. But drop some in the comments. Wish me happy birthday. I appreciate it. And also, I'll drop my Cash App in the description. Anybody want to gift me for something on my birthday? All gifts are appreciated. But it's your boy DtaeNoDinero. Back again with another Larry Bird reaction. This is the best reaction channel in the nation. And we out. Peace. See you, man.